Hi, I'm Paul Daigle, the Land and Water Program Director for Marathon County. I'm excited to present to you the draft Land and Water Resources Management Plan for Marathon County, which will protect and improve the land and water resources of the county. This will enhance our way of life. Quality environment also positively impacts our physical and mental well-being, along with enhancing outdoor recreation opportunities and enhancing our rural economy. This plan was developed with a diverse group of county stakeholders, including conservation groups, lake groups, industry leaders, agency partners, and of course, farmers and landowners. It's a long-term plan for Marathon County's community to ensure that we become the healthiest, safest, and most prosperous county in Wisconsin. The plan is a coordinated public and private investment opportunity to enhance the resources of the county. It provides a framework to identify the goals, objectives, and strategies for the implementation of soil and water conservation. In addition, it aligns the county, state, federal, and local desired outcomes to protect and conserve our natural resources. This plan, if properly implemented, will help fulfill the department's mission. Our staff come to work each day to protect our community's land and environment because the economic strength and vitality of our community is dependent on the quality of our resources. We do this through leadership, accountability, community engagement, and collaborative partnerships. We promote thoughtful and deliberate use of our resources and innovative solutions to ensure Marathon County has a healthy people, healthy economy, and a healthy environment today and tomorrow. This plan also embodies the county's vision to support resilient rural economic growth and development while improving the county's land and water quality. It will guide the department over the next 10 years. This plan has been under development for over a year. It's resulted in Chapter 1, which includes an introduction, Chapter 2, which is a full resource assessment of the land and water resources of the county, Chapter 3, which identifies the plan goals, objectives, strategies, and intended outcomes. Chapter 4 defines how the plan will be implemented, and Chapter 5 deals with accountability through monitoring and measuring implementation. It also includes an appendix, which defines the public participation process, the public hearings that have been held. This plan will ultimately be approved by the State Land and Water Conservation Board, followed by the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Chapter 1 is the introduction. The outcome I want for this presentation is to provide you an overview of the plan, the process, and how you can provide input into this plan. As I stated, it's a 10-year plan, and this is our third decennial major revision. The introduction explains the plan development methodology, the related plans already in place, along with the ordinances and endeavors of the Conservation Planning and Zoning Department, with a focus on management and interrelationships of the plan for continued planning and proper management of the natural resources. The plan development process involves our oversight committee, named the Environmental Resources Committee. It also entailed 2 focus groups, the Local Advisory Committee and a Technical Advisory Committee, CPZ staff, focus groups, and ultimately our county board. State plan requirements includes addressing the state performance standards and prohibitions, along with relation to other plans and ordinances that the counties has in place. Chapter 2 included a resource assessment within Marathon County's borders, which included a wide variety of resources, starting with our soils and topography, our waters, our watershed quality, our shoreline areas, impaired waters, wetlands, woodlands, threatened species, agricultural land conditions, our population, followed by identified concerns and priorities. Chapter 2 also identifies the major accomplishments from the last decade through the Conservation Planning and Zoning Department along with our partners. These included reducing agricultural runoff with increasing acres and nutrient management plans, and also increasing numbers of farmers implementing and planning managed grazing systems. We've also taken steps to reduce agricultural non-point runoff by improving our education. We've done this by holding multi-county farmer training so that farmers can develop their own nutrient management plans. Every year, anywhere from 20 to 45 farmers take this class to update their own nutrient management plan. We're also engaging the entire community in the Oak Plain through a new partnership identified as the Oak Plain Partnership for Integrated Conservation. To achieve goal number 2, to protect and improve both the groundwater quality and quantity, Marathon County has enacted a metallic mining ordinance as there are metallic deposits within the county. We've also begun a soil health initiative which improves the infiltration of rainwater into the soils, which improve our groundwater quality as well as the base flow to our streams. We've also made huge strides in our safe water project where we properly abandon idle manure storage facilities, which are a threat to our groundwater and safety of our children. One last step was to protect the groundwater infiltration areas around community wells. We've done this by providing a zoning overlay district and a comprehensive revision to our zoning ordinance. The forestry goal included youth education, education of landowners, and continuation of our tree planting rental program. Goal number 4 is to reduce the agricultural land conversion within the county. Continued conversion and fragmentation of our agricultural cropland and woodlands from productive use is a continuing concern of Wisconsin and Marathon County. We've done this by updating both the Farmland Preservation Plan for Marathon County and the Comprehensive Plan for Marathon County. We want to maintain our prime farmland in production, minimize fragmentation of cropland, which makes it difficult to farm. We want to provide viable opportunities for landowners to protect their farmland from conversion as well. In order to achieve the goal of reducing land conversion, Marathon County established 2 agricultural enterprise areas within the county's boundaries. This includes additions to the Antigo Flats agricultural enterprise area in the northeast portion of the county and a broad expansion of the Heart of America's Dairyland AEA in western Marathon County. Goal 5 was related to lake and reservoir management, which included a complete plan for aquatic invasive species within Marathon County's borders, and a community partnership to install a brand new aerator in the Big Plain Reservoir. It also included working with all of our eastern lake partners to develop lake management plans for all of their lakes, as well as a shoreline buffer initiative on public and private lands. In addition, it included a status report on the agricultural performance standards and prohibitions within Marathon County, providing a snapshot and benchmarks as we move forward. Chapter 3 clearly states our goals, objectives, strategies, and intended outcomes. It includes a new approach and perspective related to soil health, which results in resilient and sustaining soils today and tomorrow. These soils are critical for living systems. Healthy soils improve infiltration, reduces runoff, and reduces the intensity of droughts. In addition, it increases the base flow for streams, and it's the key to improve surface and groundwater quality and quantity. Chapter 3 also provides context for the plan and why it's so important to become the healthiest, safest, and most prosperous county in the state. It embraces the county's mission and provides and improves the physical environment which shapes our well-being. The first goal in Chapter 3 is that our land and resources are protected and improved countywide. The objectives include the reduction of soil erosion on all land, the improvement of soil health, the improvement of forest management, and also the protection and preservation of prime agricultural lands. Goal 2 is that our surface water quality is protected and improved. This includes objectives to reduce agricultural runoff to surface water, including soil sediment, organics, and nutrients. Work to implement the Wisconsin River watershed and Upper Fox Wolf River watersheds total maximum daily load identified goals. It also strives to protect and enhance the natural habitat areas along riparian corridors and wetlands, reduce runoff from non-agricultural sources to improve the water quality, and to manage lake and stream resources to protect and improve the water quality and habitat. Goal 3 is that our groundwater is protected and improved. The objectives under this goal include the protection and enhancement of the quantity and quality of our groundwater resources, with identified outcomes for each objective. Goal 4 is to actively educate and engage our community stakeholders to develop an understanding of our land, surface water, and groundwater quality concerns. The objectives are to improve the public awareness, provide educational opportunities to enhance agricultural practices that protect the land and water quality, as well as conduct information and education activities as it relates to the planned goals. Chapter 4 is the implementation and coordination of our plan goals, objectives, and strategies. Basically our North Star. The first being growing community engagement. We found out over the years that government, farmers, nonprofits, conservation groups cannot complete the important task of improving our land and water resources alone. We have to come together to engage a much higher percentage of our community in the improvement of these resources. Our shining star is the Oplane Partnership for Integrated Conservation in Western Marathon County, which is striving to educate and influence decision makers to improve the resources that we have. The second initiative or guiding principle is healthy soil for healthy plants, animals, and people. There's 5 principles, with the first one being soil cover, as we strive to keep plant residues on the soil surface. Living or dead vegetation on the surface year-round is the building block for soil health. Principle number 2 is to limit the disturbance of the soil. If we minimize or eliminate tillage, this provides an opportunity for soil biology to start rebuilding soil aggregates, pore space, and organic matter. Principle number 3 is to increase the diversity. We want to mimic nature by incorporating a diversity of cool and warm season grasses and broadleaf plants into a management system by utilizing 3 or more crops and cover crops in a rotation. Grassland and cropland plant diversity increases soil and animal health. Principle 4 are the living roots. We strive to keep plants growing throughout the year to feed the soil. Cover crops and perennial forages add carbon to the soil via biomass and root exudates that feed and sustain soil microorganisms. Soil health principle number 5 is to integrate livestock and livestock manure in our county. Managed grazing and properly applied animal manure increases the soil biological activity on cropland and improves nutrient cycling. The third guiding principle is to have every landowner follow the state's agricultural performance standards and prohibitions. The farms that are subject to the program requirements and/or regulatory enforcement of the state statutes include the property owner subject to ordinances, farmers that voluntarily participate in the Farmland Preservation Program to earn tax credits, livestock operations, which are new or expanding, landowners or farmers that are out of compliance with the agricultural standards as determined by a site evaluation, farmers that participate in the multi-discharger variance program, and also farmers that enter into cost share agreements with the county need to follow these minimum statewide performance standards and prohibitions. There's an identified priority farm strategy because we have limited time, we have limited financial resources. CPZ staff will follow the priority of services guidelines listed in the plan to achieve implementation. There's a high demand for administrative, technical, cost sharing, and regulatory services. These need to be prioritized. The highest priority farms and items include implementation of the priority cropland best management practices, which support the 5 principles of soil health, as well as implementation of the agricultural performance standards and prohibitions. This plan also identifies the highest priority for services from CPZ. This hierarchy of priority is based on the goals identified in Chapter 3, with the highest being the Fenwood Creek watershed farms, all the way down to the riparian and wetland buffer installation and maintenance. These are considered the most urgent and of highest of priorities within the county. CPZ receives numerous complaints, and there's also staff observations of resource concerns. When CPZ responds to public complaints or observed concerns, the highest priority is assigned to sites or farms identified in the previous slide as a high priority for services, sites or farms where there's an immediate threat to the fish, wildlife, and/or habitat, sites or farms where the resource impacts are evaluated to be severe and compliance can be achieved. Technical and administrative support for local units of government undertaking initiatives to improve water quality is also considered a high priority. The plan identifies the medium and low priorities for the county as well. The medium priority for services are farms located within watersheds of outstanding and exceptional resource waters, and also farms located outside of impaired watersheds. In addition, if staff are responding to public complaints or staff observation of resource concerns, medium priority is assigned to sites or farms identified above as medium priorities for services and sites or farms where impacts are less severe. Low priority for services are all other operations and requests. Enforcement and compliance is also a part of this resource management plan. Unfortunately, enforcement and compliance are necessary steps in some cases. These safeguards are put in place to provide fair and consistent implementation of our ordinances, and a defined enforcement policy. They are done when we're evaluating land parcels to implement the NR 151, Agricultural Performance Standards and Prohibitions. In addition, when ordinance enforcement is in accordance with the priority farm strategy listed earlier, updating and implementing county ordinances is also a part of this plan and on an as-needed basis or required by state statute or regulation. The county may also consider stormwater and construction site erosion control or incorporation into county land division, shoreland, and floodplain ordinances. Information and education is essential to properly focus on the myriad of land and water goals of this plan. Information and education activities are critical to reaching the plan goals. Citizen engagement will be primarily through community stakeholder groups and are critical components to the implementation of this plan. The development and assessment of specific information and education strategies is also imperative to ensure targeted audiences are reached and engaged, especially given the wide variety of communication platforms available today. Further considerations of this plan also include a policy discussion on how we're going to establish and maintain riparian and wetland tillage setback buffers, protection of regionally important water resources which cross county boundaries, the improvement of our partnerships, which includes federal, state, surrounding counties, nonprofits, other county departments, and municipalities. Each year, a separate work plan and timeline is provided to implement this plan, which follow the identified goals, objectives, strategies, and outcomes. It also is reflective of the county's comprehensive and strategic plans for continuity. They're designed to preserve and protect our land and water resources within the fiscal resources that are available. This plan also includes an annual fiscal resource projection. CPZ budget currently supports 7.7 full-time staff positions who primarily work on high priority objectives already in this plan. In 2010, there were 5 full-time equivalent staff positions. Currently, $730,000 of county tax levy is used to implement the land and water plan of the county. In addition, there's $580,000 received from our state partners for staffing and cost share grants. We have an annual budget shortfall of $190,000 for staffing and $730,000 in cost sharing to meet plan objectives. This is also not reflective of any specific watershed plans or projects which will need additional resources. CPZ has been able to grow because of our successful efforts to secure grants, provide stable revenue streams, and partnership agreements. Our annual fiscal resource projections come from recent staffing grants. Grant funding for projects, farmers, and landowners come through a variety of sources, which includes Marathon County, nutrient management, farmer education training grants, DNR targeted resource management grants, lake grants, and multi-discharge variance program, just to name a few. The last chapter is Chapter 5, which is monitoring and evaluation. So how will we measure the success of our plan? For agricultural non-point source monitoring, there's a variety of methods. First of all, Marathon County is the first county in the state to benchmark where we are at with our agricultural performance standards and prohibitions. We'll continue to monitor and track where we are at with all these state standards and report that on an annual basis. This method varies by practice. We'll also continue our 2-decade-long soil transect survey, which monitors the erosion rates of croplands within the county, along with changes in land use. We're also adding soil organic matter level monitoring. This is measured by the analyzing annual soil aggregate countywide soil tests, and is the best measure we have for soil health in the county. We also measure the success of our plan with our partners. Wetland monitoring is done by the Wisconsin DNR, who updates and maintains the official wetland mapping of the state. CPZ depends on these maps along with site-specific delineation when needing to identify wetlands. We'll also start tracking and monitoring the 35-foot tillage setback in the county. First of all, that will start with an inventory of our shoreline buffers in an effort to track and evaluate and increase buffers along surface waters and wetlands of the county, especially in our impaired watersheds. Agricultural runoff and how that is monitored is outlined in Chapter Objective 2.1, and success will be determined by monitoring the outcome measures in Chapter 3. Phosphorus loading from agricultural croplands and pastures is currently modeled using the Wisconsin Phosphorus Index, which is a planning and assessment tool that is part of the nutrient management planning software program. When it comes to monitoring and measuring the surface water quality in Marathon County, the primary task is left to the Wisconsin DNR, who spent 3 years monitoring our streams and rivers in preparation for the Wisconsin River TMDL report, which identifies the impairments within the county. Clearly, the most significant element of this plan is to achieve and reduce surface water phosphorus levels to recommended criterion for the impaired waters in Marathon County. This will be the most difficult task as well. The Wisconsin DNR has a prescribed role in continued monitoring within the county and will report the results to us. In addition, a private partner, the Wisconsin Valley Improvement Company, monitors the Fenwood Creek, the Oak Plain River and Reservoir, and the Wisconsin River, and shares that information with our department. We also support volunteer efforts and other responsible agencies, local government, volunteer groups who will all collaborate to monitor water resources. Lake districts do some monitoring on their own, along with the Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Association, who partners with Marathon County to protect and enhance and improve their long-term water quality on our 11 eastern lakes. How do we measure success in relation to other goals? For aquatic invasive species, Marathon County has a long-standing partnership with Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Association. They have developed a plan for the county that has inventoried, continued to monitor, treat, and manage aquatic invasive species countywide. They provide an annual report to Marathon County on their progress. The department supports citizen monitoring, which raises public awareness and encourages a more proactive approach, including the Water Action volunteers, citizens, and citizen groups to monitor our natural resources. Project tracking is also done by staff and partners who continue to meet annually over the next 10 years following plan adoption. The staff will be responsible for demonstrating and assessing progress towards the stated goals to allow both staff and partners to target projects and revise and amend the strategies if a realignment is required to better achieve the overall protection of the natural resources. Thanks for listening to the overview of the Land and Water Resource Management Plan of Marathon County. You can learn more by visiting our website. You can also provide comments to me, both by email and in writing, and you can participate in our upcoming public hearings. We need your input on this 10-year plan to protect and conserve the land and water resources of Marathon County. Thank you.